a couple of days ago, I wanted to simulate a SQL injection. Um, so what I did was I got ChatGPT to build me a vulnerable VM. And of course, such VMs can be downloaded from VunHub, but I wanted something that was a little bit more customized for me to do this demo. So I got ChatGPT to build me a SQL injectable kind of box. So this is basically just a an Ubuntu Linux server or just a desktop, and it's also running the Nginx web server together with MariaDB, and yeah, and it has a PHP login page where you can test your SQL injections against, and if it works, it would bypass the page and it will bring you to a page that says that it is successful. Obviously, I would have to use a series of prompts on ChatGPT in order to make sure that because there's two pages. The first page is a login.php, right? It's an index.php page, and the second page is a success.php page. I wouldn't want somebody to be able to just change the URL and be able to access the page that's behind the login page. So ChatGPT was able to generate code for me that prevented this from happening. It also put in additional things for me. For example, it was able to make the page have things like session cookies and stuff like that. Yeah, so I was able to generate even like a countdown timer as well as a logout button to simulate what logging into such a web page actually looks like in real life, and how hackers actually attack such login pages. Yeah. Okay, so how a WAF works is pretty simple, pretty straightforward. What it does is that normal users, when they are logging into the actual login page, if there's no WAF, they will just go directly to the login page and log in. A hacker is able to inject malicious kind of yeah, malicious SQL. Uh, I mean, they can actually use a malicious HTTP requests which have SQL in them to bypass the login. Okay, and what the WAF does is that instead of allowing users or anybody out there on the internet to be able to access the web server directly, it goes to the WAF. Okay, the firewall actually has port forwarding configured to go to the WAF, and the WAF forwards the HTTP request over to the web server. So in a nutshell, that's basically how it works. So let me show you first how this is. Yeah, this is basically the vulnerable VM that is created by ChatGPT. And inside this, we also have a database that's running. You can kind of like access it via root-p. Okay, I'm logging as root so I can see everything. I can do a show databases, and I can use VunDB, which is the database that is used for this site. Show tables, um, select star from users. Okay, so these are the users which are stored in the database on this vulnerable VM. Okay, and what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how the SQL injection works. Now let me switch over to my firewall. So I have the firewall that I'm managing through the web graphical UI. I have a series of rules, but the only rule that I care about is this one. This basically does a port forwarding um, from the firewall's public IP, the WAN IP on port 80 to the WAF on port 80 as well. So any of the requests coming in will hit the WAF and the WAF will forward the requests to the web server. Okay, so it's pretty simple, straightforward setup. Um, Let me just show you how it looks like when there's no WAF. So I have another rule that does port forwarding directly to the server itself, okay, on port 80. So my server is basically on the DMZ, same as the WAF, okay, they're both on DMZ to make it simple. And let me just show you how it looks like. So I'm going to just kind of like open a new tab, and I'm going to go to the IP of the public IP of the firewall. Okay. Um, okay, so right now I'm going to log in as a real valid user, as you can see. If you remember that I over on this box, I have a valid user called Alice with a password of Alice123. Okay, I'm going to log in as Alice123. Okay, and it works fine, right? So I can log in as Bob as well, and it works fine as well. Okay, valid users work fine. Now, however, if I am a malicious hacker, if I'm a malicious user, we have a bunch of like SQL injections we can use. So I'm just going to take one of them to use a Boolean-based blind attack and show you how it looks like. So, sorry, let me go back to my login page. Okay, okay. A hacker would just insert something like this inside the login page, and they can bypass the login. Okay, so this is a SQL injection. This is if you do not have a WAF protecting your web server, this is what happens. Okay, so it's a little bit scary, but yeah, I'm just going to show you how a WAF mitigates this. So going back to my VM, let's take a look at the WAF. I have the WAF running already. This WAF is, I'm going to stop it for a while, just to show you a little bit of the code. Um, .go. So I'm using the Sublime text editor. So this was generated by ChatGPT. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward and pretty simple. It's less than 100 lines long. It's a simple WAF that takes care of the most common patterns which are used for SQL injections. So this is the SQL detection regex. You can look at it this way. And just all the way at the bottom, we define the target web server, the web server that we want to forward the request to. And we also have the listening IP and the port number for the WAF to listen on. Okay. Um, yeah, so that's essentially how it works and how it looks like. Okay, I'm going to switch over to, let me just close this. I'm going to switch over to, I'm going to activate the WAF. So I'm going to turn off this rule. And I'm going to go change the one that's going to the WAF right now. To the end user, it is completely transparent. The end user doesn't see any of these. Okay, they do not know that whether there's a WAF or not behind the firewall. Oops, sorry. I need to turn on the WAF. Yeah. Okay, so let me turn on the WAF. And because I'm listening on port 80, so this is basically reserved ports right below 1024. INA defined reserved ports. So I have to do a sudo /go WAF. Okay, and I have the WAF listening on port 80. Now I go back to my page, I reload it, and I can see the page. And I'm going to test the login as Alice. Okay, Alice logs in successfully. I'm going to log in as Bob. Bob logs in successfully too. Okay, and yeah, this page actually has a countdown timer. I set it to be 1 minute. So if after 1 minute, if there's no other activity going on, it will just log out and bring you back to the login page. Or if you want, you can manually just click on the logout button and it will destroy the session and bring you back to the login page as well. It's the same thing. Um, yeah, on the WAF, you can see that there's a series of get and post requests. Get request to get the page, and post means I'm submitting something through the page because a login page is still a form page, right? It's still formatting. It's still sorry. It is still posting something. So yeah, so the post request is basically when you're submitting data, okay, to the backend SQL Server. So when we do a SQL injection, what really happens is that, for example, like the one that I was using, the Boolean blind, Boolean based blind attack, right? So the Boolean based blind attack, when we insert that, when we insert this into the form page, what it does is that it tells the backend SQL Server that to return, because Boolean true or false, right? It returns a true, meaning that that the user is logged on. So it makes the system think that the user is really logged on, and it just logs you straight into the page. So you bypass the login page. So this is kind of scary. SQL injection is kind of scary. There's a lot of things you can do, and this is only just one vector, one of the many vectors of SQL injection. There are even more scary ones out there. This is just one of them, just to show. So with the WAF running, I'm just going to try a SQL injection again and see if it works. And immediately I get a blocked by WAF, SQL injection detected in form data. If I go to the WAF, I can see that I have a line with a warning, and it shows me the field that this was injected on, which is the username field, as well as the payload. This is the payload that was injected, and that it was the WAF detects this as a malicious SQL injection, and it stops the request from going through. Yeah, so this is pretty much how a WAF actually works. Okay. So of course, in real life, if you talk about security, cybersecurity, we would deploy the WAF on a separate interface by itself, separate network, probably like maybe a DMZ tool or something, and then we'll have policies and firewall that allow only the WAF to forward requests to the web servers, especially if they have a server farm and things like that. This is how it works. Okay. So this WAF is pretty simple. It's not something very complex. It's not like Imperva or FortiWeb and things like that. Those are commercial WAFs which have far more features, very nice graphical UI to configure things, and and they have very high performance, things like that. So this WAF is very simple. It just works for just one web server. If I want to use for more web servers, I would have to change the ports and launch multiple uh, instances of this application. So this is a compiled Go application. Yeah, so that's pretty much about it. Of how I use ChatGPT to create a vulnerable VM to test for SQL injection, and then I created the WAF to block it to defend. And when I showed this to some of my friends, they were pretty impressed. They said, "Wow, they didn't know that ChatGPT could do something uh, this complex. This is considered complex. If you have to do it, if you have to build it by hand, build it manually yourself, it will require quite a significant amount of programming, coding knowledge, to be able to build something like this. But ChatGPT made it so simple and so straightforward and easy. Yeah. So we can actually focus more on, I mean, it's a good thing. So we can focus more on learning. So ChatGPT is a great tool for learning about cybersecurity. And yeah, that's all for the video. Thank you for watching.